Are you struggling to make your guitar recordings sound great? Well, that's going to change today because guess what? Your guitar recordings will actually sound great. And I'll show you that it's pretty easy even in the most basic Ableton version, Ableton Live Intro. Let's go. Okay. Ableton is a really great software when it comes to recording guitars, and it comes with a bunch of really nice high quality effects. And we don't really even need to download any external or third-party plugins. In fact, we'll be only using the plugins that you can find in Ableton Live Intro version. So chances are that you're a beginner, you only have an Ableton's intro version, which comes bundled with some of the software like Focusrite Solo or Arturia keyboard. And we will be using only these effects, so everybody can follow. And in this video, we're going to be making a quick effects rack that will make your guitar recording sound really good. And in the description box down below, you will find the link to the amp that I built myself in Ableton. You can download it, install it in your software, test it out, and tell me what you think about it. It will run on Ableton Intro. For the sake of this lesson, I've pre-recorded 3 sounds, and we will be using these samples today just to make our life easier and save some time. Okay. So we are in the Ableton and we have some audio effects that we can use to shape our sound. So this is the sound that I recorded previously, and that's just one of the sounds. Let's listen to that for a second. Okay, so that's a clean guitar recording. I didn't do any processing on it, straight from the guitar to the Focusrite and to the Ableton. Nothing done with it so far. What we can do first, we need to work on the level of the sound because as we can see by the wave, it's not really that loud. So first effect that we're going to use on our chain is a limiter. Limiter can work in 2 ways. First, just to make the sound louder, and second, just to make sure it doesn't go over a certain level so it's not too loud and it's not driving your speakers and it's not going to make them explode. So where can we find it? It's in Audio Effects, Dynamics, Limiter. And so we can drag it straight to the audio track and it's gonna be here at the end. What we want to set up here is around -1.5 decibel. You can just type it on your keyboard, -1.5. So just to make it louder, we can just turn that knob up, gain, and that's gonna sound louder and it will be hitting the limiter here. But anyway, it's not gonna drive our output. Second most useful plugin would be a saturator. That's going to help us to create that overdriven or distorted sound, and that's going to emulate this amp plugin that's in the Ableton Suite version. We go to Drive and Color, and it's here, a saturator. So we're going to put that in front of the limiter, so we always want our limiter to be at the end. Now, the saturator has different options. First is drive, second, most important is the output. So when we're gonna put the drive up, it's gonna make our sounds pretty nice and distorted. Let's hear that a little bit. But that's gonna also drive our limiter. So if we will be adding, let's say 20 decibels of drive, we want to go -20 decibels on the output. Yeah, let's say that's fine. We can switch it on and off, and we hear the level of the sound is quite similar, only it's a distorted when we turn it on. We can go a bit harder, going to the medium or hard curve. Let's try the medium one. That sounds cool, okay? Anyway, that was our second step. Next part is just to make sure we don't get any external noise from the cables or anything. We can put a gate plugin on it. So gate will basically block all the signals below a certain threshold, and this is also in Dynamics gate. Let's put it at the very beginning of our chain. Now, what we want to go is for the threshold around -48-ish, 45, depend on what your signal and how loud did you record it. You have to test it and try it basically. So let's hear this one. When you see that, we need to go a little bit lower. That's going to block all the quiet signals. Basically, that sounds good already. What you can also do if you want to improve that a little bit, we will be using compressor. This is also in Ableton Live Intro, so it's also in Dynamics compressor. Let's put that after the gate, but before the saturator. What compressor does is it makes all the very, very high peaks and very loud sounds and gets them down to a certain level. When you hit the make up button, it will make up for the loss and make the quiet sounds a little bit more louder. So it will make all the dynamics a bit more leveled. So what we want to set up here is just to see and listen to our sound once again, and just to cut off all the peaks from the top of your signal. So we see that our compressor starts working a little bit here. We have these peaks in and out. We can bring the ratio down to, let's say, 3:1. Let's just type in 3 and say 3:1. Okay. We actually also want to turn off the makeup button because we won't be needing that, as we have some other gain levels later on. But sometimes it can be a bit tedious to twist both knobs at the same time, and we want them to go the other direction. So while we bring in the drive up, we want the output to go down. So for that reason, what we're going to do is we're going to click on that saturator, press Ctrl G or Command G to group it with itself. Then we're going to click that icon just to get the access to the macros. So let's click the map and click the drive, map it to macro 1, also output to the same macro. And we want them to go the opposite directions. So we want the saturation drive to go from 0, let's type in 0, to 36 decibels. But we want the output to go also from 0 to minus 20 decibels. Let's hear it now. That's perfect. The other thing we will be needing to automate is type of drive. So let's click map, and this little medium curve, we're going to map it to macro 2. And then we're going to click minus a couple of times just to leave these two together. There are some knobs at the bottom: bass, frequency, width, depth. They will, of course, influence your sound color and tone. You can play with them to your liking. Okay, that sounds good. Then, what's the other thing that we can shape our sound with? Of course, equalizer, just to have control over the low frequencies, middle frequencies, and high frequencies. So what we're going to be using is hidden here in audio effects, EQ and filter, and channel EQ. There's the EQ tree, which is a bit more aggressive. It serves a different purpose. So we will be using channel EQ. Let's put it just in front of our saturator. So just here. We can actually double click that, or just to hide this chain here. So we have nice two knobs. We can, of course, rename it to saturation and type of saturation. Okay, let's see if I like that. And then channel EQ, we can go down the frequency to around 1 kilohertz, 1.105, that's fine. And then when you play the sound, we can then modify our low, mid, and high frequencies. Cut off the low frequencies. Add more mids, add more highs, take them off. Basically, that's the biggest part of creating the guitar tone. You don't really need much more than this. So gate to get rid of all the unwanted signals, compressor just to level up the dynamics a little bit, then some equalizer to create and shape your tone of the sound, and then saturator that also has some different settings to what your sound of a guitar can be. Then we can add some reverb and delay. We can always keep it, of course, as a send. So when we will send that sound to a reverb, it's going to play. Also to a delay. But of course, we can use these effects inside our chain. So we just simply go to delay and loop, put the delay. I would say just to put it in front of saturation. That's just my idea. reverb and resonance. Reverb, let's put it just before the limiter. And also 50% dry wet will be fine. Let's see if all the settings as they are at the moment. Let's see how it sounds. Just to make the room bigger, we go with the size. So let's see how it sounds with a different sample. Not too bad. I like it so far. We can change the type of the saturation. But I guess up to the kind of middle position it goes really well. Then it's just some weird sounds anyway. Now what we see, we have this channel EQ that does a really good job, but it only does a really good job kind of halfway. So we want that equalizer to be doubled. So we want to have more control over the sound. What we can do now is to duplicate. We press Command or Control D and put it after the saturation. That's what I would do. Of course, these are all my ideas. You can do things absolutely the other way. There's no right or wrong. There's no certain rules. Just put whatever you want in whatever order. Just experiment. But now we got too many knobs to twist. I basically did, these will be the old effects that we will be using. So what we can do now is to group it all together, including the limiter. So we press the last one or the first one with Shift, click the first one and press Command G or Control G, or if you right click, it's here in group. So you press group. Not much change, except for that we have all this chain included here. And we can have macros as well. We want to have a control over our equalizer, of course, from the macros. So we're going to press Map. And we're going to press the channel EQ of the first channel EQ. Low. Map it to the first one. It says low gain. But we can also do the same with the second channel EQ. Click the low one and map it to the same knob. So the effect will be doubled. And then we do the same with the mid. Go to the second macro. And mid of the second one. Go to second macro as well. Now the high, go here. Then the high goes here. Now we can hide channel EQs. Okay, we will not be needing them anymore. We will not also need to touch the compressor for now. So let's hide it. Gate's fine for now. Let's hide it. What we need to control is the delay. So let's press the dry wet of a delay, assign it to say macro 5, whatever, and then click on the label, press Control R or Command R to rename it. Delay. Yeah, that's the one. We can also hide it. Now we have our saturation and type of saturation. We want to assign these as well. So let's click saturation to, let's say, macro 7 and type macro 8, hide it again. And then the reverb at the end, we want to assign the dry wet knob to any of the macros, whatever you like. Also rename it just to be able to see what are we doing. So reverb. Perfect. We can hide the reverb. And then the overall gain, we can of course assign the gain to the macro. We can also hide it. Look, it looks really nice. We can even hide it even more. So when we press that button, we have only macros. And then when we play the sounds, we can just modify all the settings. With the 8 knobs, you can assign them to your MIDI controller. If you want to have your physical knobs, you can assign all the macros to your controller and then you can play your guitar and just twist the knobs and just to make your perfect sound. Just experiment as you would do with the regular amp. Now let's test out some of the sounds. Sounds good. Let's hear it on the last sample. Okay, we have one more little problem. When you go with the delay and reverb, they go all the way to 100% and we're losing all the original signal. Let's hear that again. So we have only 100% reverb. We don't want that to happen. What we want is a maximum of like 50, let's say 40%. So what we're going to do is we click on the map again and then click on reverb. Oh, you actually find it here. So I have reverb, dry wet, 0 to 100%. So it goes to 0 to 100%. We want it to go to, let's say, 45 max. The same with delay. We find where is the delay? It's here. So dry wet, 0 to 100%. We want it to go to maximum 45. Let's click it like that. So that's going to change. We won't be able to go to 100. Let's check that. So it goes to 45 and does go beyond that. Of course, if you want to change any of the sounds, we'll just double click on delay and just make changes here, like the feedback or anything else, filter. But basically that's it. That's what we want to do with all our guitar sounds, just to make it sound nicer and make it sound professional. And the best part is you can just record the guitar and play with the sounds later. So even if you don't like something, you can always change it afterwards. And in case you are wondering how to record the guitar properly in Ableton Live using Focusrite Scarlett Solo, I will link a card here so you can just click on it. Also check the description box down below. Watch the video and come back here. Now, the last little thing that we can do, but we don't really need to do, is to find our perfect spot presets and just to save them. Double click on everything just to make it go to 0. Let's make a clean sound of a guitar with a little reverb. Just to add a little reverb, no saturation. Let's hear that on the first sample, doesn't matter. Just a tiny bit reverb. Now we click that little kind of camera button just to open macro variations. And if we like the sound, we will just click new, click on it, Command R or Control R to rename it, and everything clean. Now we want to have a little crunchy sound. Let's go to like a lower type of the saturation. We can, of course, see soft sine. Yeah, medium curve will be better. You see when we change here, it changes here as well. We can rename that to distortion. It's gonna have it here. And then let's add a little bit of a saturation. Let's say I like that sound. Let's go new. And then Command R, crunchy. Now let's create like a lead solo sound. Let's go to a different sample. Let's try this one. Let's say I like this one, let's add new one, let's rename it to like lead 1. Now let's create like a kind of more metal one. Let's go mids down. A little bit more delay, why not? Let's go like hard. And then you can hide all the controls and leave just the snapshots and the settings, and you can just modify whatever you want. That's your amp. Now, if you want to check mine, just go to the link in the description down below, download my amp that I've created and install it into your Ableton. I will post the description on how to do it, and then try it out, test it, see if you like it or not, and what would you change. You can just change it and send it to me, no problem at all. And just basically share your thoughts. I will be very happy to listen to what you think about it. If there was a one thing I can ask you for, would be please subscribe to the channel. As of course, remember that just beginner lessons. We're gonna go into more advanced things a little bit later. If you are recording your guitar and struggling with latency in Ableton, I have a solution on how to fix this. Just watch my next video. It will be linked at the end of this video. Okay guys, that's it from me for today. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for most awesome content about recording in Ableton and making music in Ableton. See you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.